Then I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Madam President. We'd like to thank the UN Special Envoy, Hans Grunberg, and the USG for Humanitarian Affairs, Martin Griffiths, on their reports on developments in the political and humanitarian situation in the Republic of Yemen. We are hopeful as regards the progress made in settling the years-long military political crisis in Yemen, progress achieved by the Yemeni parties with the mediation efforts of the UN. We welcome the establishment of the long-awaited truce for 2 months. This in particular provides for a stop on all hostilities, including airstrikes both within Yemen and outside it, and also the partial opening of the international airport in Sana'a and the seaports in the Hodeidah province. In this regard, we would like to particularly point out the role of the Special Envoy, Mr. Grunberg. His efforts have gone a long way to help sides reach agreement and to implement the truce. We do hope that his actions will extend and expand the truce beyond the specified time frame. We believe that similar positive steps will help to restore mutual trust. We strongly urge all parties to the Yemeni conflict to strictly comply with agreements reached and to reject unilateral provocative acts. We still maintain that restoring the long-awaited peace in Yemen is only possible through wide-scale dialogue, which takes into account the interests and concerns of all leading political forces and faith-based and religious groups in the country. In this context, we note the establishment in Yemen of a new collegial authority, the Presidential Leadership Council. This includes representatives from several public and political forces of the country. The functions conferred on it are state government in the transition period, in the political, economic and military spheres, and also in the area of security. This is important for the Yemeni people, and it was the result of political and diplomatic efforts by Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Cooperation Council. We trust that members of the Presidential Leadership Council will do everything within their power to stabilize the situation in Yemen and to restore peace in the country. We're convinced that this can only be achieved through constructive dialogue with the Ansar Allah movement, which controls the north of the country. In this regard, we welcome the first visit of the Special Envoy to Sana'a since he took up his post, and the resumption of direct dialogue with the leadership of the movement. We also welcome your willingness, Hans, to cooperate with the ambassadors of the P5 Permanent Security Council members in Yemen. From our side, we will continue to actively encourage both the new Yemen authorities and the Houthis to engage in dialogue. Madam President, we urge all parties to the internal Yemeni conflict to return to the negotiating table in order, under the auspices of the UN, to establish a lasting process for a comprehensive political settlement. This is the key to normalizing the humanitarian situation in Yemen, which is still a source of major concern. We note the renewed access to Hodeidah and the unloading of food and fuel from tankers. However, we underscore the need for a full lifting of restrictions on supplies of medications and basic essentials from all regions of the country without discrimination. In this context, we would like to highlight the efforts of regional states who are prepared to continue to make financial, humanitarian and mediation efforts to resolve the military political crisis in Yemen. We also note the conclusion of a memorandum of understanding between the Ansar Allah movement and the UN services to resolve the situation with the Safir oil tanker. Once again, we'd like to remind you of Security Council Resolution 598 and other initiatives focused on sub-regional stabilization, including the renewed Russian collective security concept. Madam President, in conclusion, I'd like to say that we were not surprised that today, from a number of countries, there was conjecture once again that the ongoing world food crisis is caused by the actions of Russia in Ukraine. We know that by getting into such accusations, it's a nice thing for our Western partners than actually to recognise their own guilt for the blame for the situation regarding food and financial markets. It didn't just crop up overnight, and it really was through the subsidies for Western countries and the trade wars and protectionism and unilateral illegal sanctions. To one extent or another, 2/3 of the planet's population are suffering. Also, the energy transfer that Western countries are trying to implement quickly, mainly in order to protect their technologies. This has worsened the situation. This was before the start of 2022, and before then, food and energy prices were increasing. The main factor for instability and the source of the problem today is not the Russian special military operation in Ukraine, but sanctions measures imposed on our country seeking to cut off any supplies from Russia and the supply chain, apart from those supplies that those countries in the West need, in other words, energy. For this reason, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to help the world avoid a food crisis, you should lift the sanctions that you yourselves impose, your sanctions of choice indeed, and poor countries will immediately feel the difference. And if you're not prepared to do that, then don't get involved in demagoguery and don't mislead everybody. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.